Everyone, and welcome back to Everyday Husband Quotes, the channel for marriage advice, marriage entertainment, and everything else marriage. Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel.
Because what I want people to realize is that this is a dating show, and it's about dating multiple people to find the best interaction and the best connection, right? And so you're continuously, even though you're vibing with Rashid, you're still in the process. And we're also reminded that this is a process and to stay committed to the process of finding the best connection.
Right.
So what point in y'all's connection did you say, wait a second, let me finish out this process and not kind of do what Chris did? Chris, is where I'm at, I'm sticking.
So for me, the problem came later on, closer to the end. I first noticed the switch whenever Alex got sent home.
Okay.
Because, prior to that, he had a connection with Simone. Then Simone got sent home. Then he had a connection with Alex. Alex got sent home. And then it was like, okay, so now it's only me left. So he's like, hey, what's up? Like, you need to, you need to make your decision. It need to be now. And I even told him that I don't think they showed it. But I even told him, like, you can't come and back me into a corner and be like, you got to make your decision right now just because your other options are gone. That's not fair, And like you said, we're here to find that connection and see who we're vibing with the most, It's not a thing of who likes you, Everybody had multiple people that liked them. Right. So it's not like, oh, you like me first, so I'm going to stick with you. Like, it wasn't that, And so at this point, it was like he really he didn't have any other distractions, so he really noticed the connection that me and Khalfani had. Okay. And like I said, for me, and I feel like all the women vocalized this at some point, we all wanted somebody to fight for us, because that was the environment that we were in. This isn't normal life. You know what I'm saying? We're on this resort.
Put a pin in that. What was that about? Because I heard that from, my second connection, which was Winter, that wanted me to fight for her. And I saw her say that same thing with Anthony. And she's an amazing woman. Right. And so there's certain things about this environment that will yield people to be different than they would in the home environment. So what was that? Since there was an equal amount of guys and girls this season, where did that come from?
So I can say for me personally, it was a thing, because you heard him say, and I mean both of us say the courting and chasing, the difference in it. Okay. And it's like, of course, if we were out in the world, no, you don't chase anybody, whatever, if they're not reciprocating that same energy, then it's like, oh, okay, whatever, and you take it for what it is. Right. But in this case, we're on the resort, so he's seeing things that he wouldn't see in real life. You know what I'm saying? He's seeing, like all of us, we saw our connection, so he let that get in his head, and he literally just backed off. Like, yeah, he kept me as his number one because he didn't have any other options, but he just backed up. Whereas Khalfani saw that Rashid had me as his number one, and he was like, nah, like, I see what I want, and I'm gonna go for it, and I don't care, like, whatever.
Khalfani's like 6'2" and 300 pounds and got every muscle and sub muscle known to man. So maybe there was a weight class difference where he's like,
it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter. Because Denise was feeling Khalfani, and you see, I was like, it's whatever. So, what I'm saying? If you want it, go for it. And so that was, to me, like, as a man, like, yeah, he kept me as his number one. Cool. Like, he did that. But just because he did that, what were the actions behind it? Like, Khalfani would come and check on me every morning, and like, hey, did you get breakfast? Because, sometimes we wouldn't have time to go get breakfast because the girls, we trying to get all dolled up because we didn't know when we would go back to our room. So Khalfani come make sure I got breakfast. You need anything? Okay, cool. Then he'll go, run off. Or after Joy's sister passed, he came to my room, made sure I was okay. Like, we talked about Bible scriptures and, like, talked the whole night. And it's just like, and she was just like, oh, well, I thought you just wanted to be by yourself. So I left you by yourself. Which I don't think he meant anything by it. But for me, what I need in the type of support system that I need somebody that's more action-oriented than the words.
So it sounds like Khalfani kind of, at the end at least, had more of an aggressive, hey, I'm here, I'm here, and kind of being proactive about, taking care of your needs versus maybe Rashid was used to being in a position of, all right, we cool, you'll let me know if you need something.
Right, exactly. And it's not that either one of them was the right way or the wrong way. It's like, what would work for me? And I've been in situations where they said all the right things, but they didn't, the actions weren't there. So for me to have, in that setting, having someone that was putting the actions behind it, I was like, okay, well, that's what I want. Because that's the type of person I am. I don't really talk too much. I also you could tell by my actions how I move, and that's how I do. So to see somebody that I feel like reciprocated the same energy, I was there for that.
I can feel that. And I was there. And so we had these conversations like, you know, you're like, Jay, I'm torn, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, man, go with your heart. You know what I mean? Go with your heart, whatever feels real. And I saw both of the connections. And I can't, as a guy, you know, I can't tell the difference in between what you're feeling. But I saw a little bit of what you're talking about the intentionality in between the two guys.
Right. Right.
I'm going to flip it real quick, though. Going with Khalfani, as we got near the end, we saw this date between him and your dad. Mm-hmm. Yo, big ups to your dad, though. Beast. Sir, what? Right? And as a guy, if I ever had to go talk to a girl's dad, and he's a pastor and a therapist.
Oh no, it was intense. And they only got to see like maybe like 3 questions. Like he was coming back to back with all of them. Like it was no pause in between. Like, oh, okay, you said that? Okay, well what about this then? Like it's everything. But it was so great. Like it made me nervous a little bit because I was like, they about to walk off and just say I'm done. Like I don't even want to go, you know, anymore. But specifically like Khalfani, he my dad even said he saw a lot of his characteristics in Khalfani. He could see the things that I liked about him. And I was like, exactly, you know, because, you know, a lot of times just as women, we go for some qualities that our fathers have, you know, some of the things that we saw. And so that's what I did.
And that was a compliment to Khalfani from your dad, because if a woman's dad ever said, man, he reminds me of me, that's amazing. That's a huge compliment for it. So we're going to slide back into Denise. I'm going to put it out there. Y'all calling out hoods, you know, Beaumont. You know, acre shakers, like that was, I wasn't ready for it. You are always, both of y'all are all, I'll say from your perspective, since I'm on the call with you.
Don't say both of us, because I don't really know any more sentences that can end with both of them.
And like you kind of allowed her to kind of be the way she wanted to be in certain situations, and then you respond. In what was it about this moment where you was like, all right, I got time today?
For me, honestly, so while we were filming, minus if the people notice or whatever, after the narcissist comment episode or whatever, I don't even say her name anymore because I don't want to be. Okay, we unfiltered tonight, right?
Look,
so after the narcissist comment, she wasn't a factor to me anymore. She didn't matter to me anymore, so I never said her name anymore because I didn't care. I wasn't there to make friends. I was there to find a connection and find out who I wanted to talk to. So that's how I moved. Even when it came to me pursuing Khalfani, I didn't care because I knew who I wanted and who I wanted to pursue. So that's what I did. Sure. So I kept moving as if she didn't exist because she didn't to me. So once we came back home, for me, you know, we were all, I felt like we all say, all of us in all of our interviews and with everything, we all kind of built a bond in a sense. So we tried not to necessarily bash each other or say anything bad, you know, and just kind of go with the flow and emotions of everything. And so once we get back home, I saw her at the premiere party and I came up to her and I was like, hey, we good, right? Like everything's cool. We left it at the show, you know? And she was like, yeah, everything's cool. Then all of a sudden the episodes start airing. And then I see, oh, like literally every episode, it's like, I need to stay in my place, or you gonna get shitted on, or it's like, you know, you a cheap floozy, or it's like, why are you talking about me so much? Why is my name in your mouth? I never say, and even still, I don't say anything. I keep it chill. I don't say nothing. Even on Instagram, like I post replies, you know, I'm happy, leave me alone, because that's how I felt. Like, just leave me alone, like chill. Right. And then even still, somebody sent me the screenshot on Facebook of her talking about once they showed the episode of the narcissist comment. And she was talking about, you know, oh, I had to put Adriana in her place. She came for me and da-da-da. And I'm like, bro, like, chill. You know what I'm saying? So once the time came and we shot the reunion, I was like, if I didn't come in with the intent on, oh, I'm about to give her a piece of my mind or whatever. It was like, but if she does come, I will meet her energy. And that's what I felt like I did. And so in that moment, that's what was going through my head, because they didn't show what exactly she said, because they were talking about Rashid and the narcissist thing. I think maybe Tommy asked like about her apologizing on my behalf or something to that effect that brought me into it. And then in turn, I was like, when have I ever disrespected you? Because I was like, I never once did, but yet here we are, and you literally have my name in your mouth every week for absolutely no reason. And once we're back home, if you're supposed to be an adult and I'm a kid or whatever, act like an adult and not still talk about me once we're home. So it's like I had all these built up emotions because I'm trying to be the bigger person and try to be happy and try to, just keep it pushing. It's cool. It's not a big deal. But like I said, it's a certain point where it's a difference between standing up for yourself and being a bigger person. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a fine line, And so I felt like I took the bigger person route. But then
on tonight's episode, you was about that. You wanted all of the smoke. You got it all, right? For real.
I'm just, I'm not that person. Like, I chill. I'm on my business. Whatever. But it was just like seeing that every week. I feel like anybody would be like, "Bro, what's up? Like, what's good?"
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's where that came from. Yeah.
I wasn't ready. I was sitting there and I was so Joy had always kind of taken the higher ground with some, and you had always taken what I thought was the higher ground with Denise. I was there, and and I would talk to both of y'all, and I'm like, and it was always that kind of tension once you kind of step into the picture. And of course, you saw the scene where I actually talked to her about just chill out, let Khalfani make his decision, so forth, so on, which I actually think made room for you to enter the picture, to be honest with you, because he was chilling with Denise, and then it was him being.
No, he would have still made the same decision, because at the end of the day, she was still going to be her and show her true colors. So regardless of if you would have said something or if anybody would have said something, like I said, I ran my situation and did my thing on the show the way that I would have did in real life. I only worried about me and gave me. And so at the end of the day, whatever decision he would have made. But she dug her own hole, and I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah, and that's what I really feel like happened. I had a conversation with her about, hey, just chill out, let him. A man wants to breathe, and I think that you did that well. And it's something that she can improve on. And I think she'll probably take that hopefully because we all have our takeaways from this, right? I watch myself back and I'm like, ooh, I could have done that better. Ooh, I could have, done that a little bit differently, whatever cases. So let's see.
Wait, there's something I want to touch on. Before we run out of time?
Come on.
For me, just to say my 2 cents, as far as at the end where I wasn't listening to Rashid whenever he was talking.
I want to ask, let me start that, because that was the question that I have for you, because I was there. Mm-hmm. Of course, Rashid's talking, but Rashid said something to the fact of it had to do with all of a sudden he didn't see you being as mature, and I'm paraphrasing, but I took that you weren't as mature as he wanted, but I never heard that from Rashid throughout the whole process, nor did I hear it prior to you choosing Khalfani. Exactly. So that kind of segued into you and Khalfani having a conversation. So I want to cover 2 things. What do you feel about that part of the conversation, and where did that come from? Because there's all these other conversations that maybe weren't on TV. And so did that come from a conversation that y'all had?
So yes. So like once we got back, we didn't talk for a while. I was kind of just letting him breathe, and I think both of us we just didn't really talk. And then finally, once we hung out, once we got back to Houston, he had his birthday, and I surprised him with a birthday cake, and he had his birthday party.
Whoa! You pulled up and surprised with the birthday cake?
Just because it's all love, just because I didn't pick you in the end, it doesn't mean it's anything bad. But yeah, so it's like we had, interaction. We would pretty much talk everywhere. I would hop on some of his lives and stuff. Yeah. So we had a cool connection. Now, what happens is probably 2 days or even the night before, I think, the reunion, they sent us a little clip so we could see, some scenes or whatever that we potentially hadn't seen. And I called him and I was just like, hey, I'm really worried because I feel like I may come across as this immature, because I'm the youngest one. I may come across immature or young or whatever. And I'm just scared about that, And, he talked to me off the cliff, it's cool. Everything will be okay. I'm sure people will see how great you are, blah, 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 blah. Everything's great. Great conversation. Then we come to the reunion and Tommy asks him, why don't we work? And then he says the immature thing. And he says, and there's a 10-year gap between us. So I just feel like she has some more growing up to do, or however he said it, whatever. Right. And to me, I took that as a blow. I took that as a what? I literally just told you this. And then you're going to take it and throw it back in my face? When this whole time you tried to talk to me in real life, you knew that there was a 10-year gap before the show. You knew that there was a 10-year gap on the show. And you still pursued me all the way to the end. But now that I didn't choose you, it's a 10-year gap and I was immature or whatever, however he said it.
Right.
Like, to me, that was just a blow. And so at that point, my ears clicked off and I didn't want to hear it anymore.
So,
because it's like, you're not, to me, being real. And maybe that was his truth in his moment, or his way of rationalizing, you know, his feelings or whatever. But either way, it's like I said, we all have this thing for each other where we try not to down each other. And to me, I took that as a slug, because it's like, I already talked to me and told you this was an insecurity that I had with everything on the show. And then you backdoor and throw it back in my face. Like, oh, okay, cool. Well, then I'm good. Don't worry about it.
And there's a lot of people on the chat saying, you know, he didn't say you're immature. Those weren't the exact words. It wasn't
right. It wasn't the exact words. He said it was like a 10-year gap and something like that. But that's also something that they didn't get to see. So it's something that y'all didn't get to see before he said what he did say on there or whatever.
And being there, and we were all there, I kind of saw what you're talking about as far as I had never, you know, Rashid is my guy. You know, we literally, our rooms right next door to each other. You know, I support him in business. We have similar clients, so forth, so on, whatever. That's my guy. So there is no beef between any of us. We're talking about this particular moment at that particular time, and in that moment, that remark kind of came from. That's the first time I had heard something like that.
And like I said, exactly, and that's how I felt. Like, I'm not trying to
stages.
Down him or say, you know,
stages.
What's he say? The phone went out.
Stages.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the ages and stages. But it was still, he said something even before that. He said literally the 10-year thing, that there was a 10-year difference and he had been married and, you know, anyway, the whole thing, even whatever. But just like I said, for me, whatever it was that was said, that was never an issue on the show. That wasn't an issue before the show when we went on a date. So why bring it up now?
Yo, you finished that wine fast though. Like you knocked that.
I told you, my nerves is bad, man. Man, after the reunion, that next day, when I tell you, like, I didn't want to talk to nobody because my emotions was like this. It was from the Denise thing had me feeling away. Then Rashid having comments made me feel away, and then the ending with Khalfani obviously had me feeling away. So I was just like, man.
So let me ask you that, and it's not to put you in an extended hot seat, but I really want to, because I was behind you, and you and Khalfani were having a conversation. Unfortunately, while Rashid was talking.
Right. That was still, I will say that I shouldn't have did that. But like I said, for me, my ears clicked off. But that wasn't the right way.
Let me ask you this, and then I'll follow up with that. How would you do that differently?
It's still hard. It wasn't the right thing to do, but would I say that I potentially would have did the same thing?
Yeah.
Potentially. Just because we had that conversation literally like the night before. And so it instantly put me in my feelings, because like I said, it felt like he was throwing it in my face after we had literally just had the conversation. I'm not saying it was right, and it's wrong. It is wrong for me to act that way, and I should have listened to him, sure. But I didn't want to, and I still didn't. And I talked to him later. Like, I think we talked probably like last week, and I told him, because I hadn't talked to him since. And I told him that I felt a way in this, and he was like, that wasn't my intent. And he was like, I could see how you feel that way because of the conversation we had. Right. But that wasn't my intent. And I was like, I accept that. And I was like, I'm sorry if I did anything, you know, to you to even feel that way, you know. And we had a cool moment. But
I will say though that being behind you guys, and you and Khalfani having this conversation, there was a lot of things that were left to be communicated between the two of you guys. And I'm not saying you're right for having it that way, but just hearing a little bit of what you guys, it was intense. What was that conversation?
So because that was his first time. So when he first initially gave me the news about the ex-girlfriend coming in the picture, you know how I am. Like, I didn't really say too much, because if I would have said anything in that moment, it wouldn't have been positive. It wouldn't have been good. So I kind of just like, all right, cool. You know, I respect it, and I'm gonna you know, leave pretty much. Like we finished the dinner, but left. Right. And he was like, man, I just expected you to say more. I'm just like, but that's just not me, because I know in that moment, like, anything I'm saying is not going to be good. Right. It's not. So that was his first time hearing me say, like, I literally thought everything was fake. You know, like, I felt like it made me question everything, because it's like he was going so hard. You know, like, during the show, like I said, he was at my room every morning before he would go work out. He would come knock on my door, ask me if I ate. Like, you know, do you need anything? Hey, let's go talk over here. Let's go do this. Like, it was a whole thing. We had so many talks, and it was about just him being protective and protecting me. Right. And so the first day that we get back home, you come and tell me that somebody had a note on your door. it's just it was hard for me to process. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying, I don't know. I could understand his decision, and that's what I even said on the reunion, that, you know, understand, especially when there's kids involved, that's a whole different dynamic, you know. And when the ex has a relationship with the kids, I get it. Does that stop me from feeling the way I feel? Of course not. Yeah. And that's where that came from. And that's why I was like, I'm having a hard time understanding how you would even come on the show if you had a potential connection with somebody else that you would pick over me, you know? And so it was just a sense of hurt and a lot. And he just was reassuring me that that wasn't the case. Yeah. And so, like I said, that was the first time he was hearing that from me. And then...
You muted just a little bit for some reason.
Sorry.
Okay,
and that's me having my response. So, that's what that discussion was.
I know both of those brothers relatively well. You had two amazing guys to choose from, and to develop and figure out what was the best connection. And so I applaud you on the way that you went through the process, because what they show on TV is one thing, because there's however many hours that they have to edit down to fit into a certain time bracket. But this was hard. People don't realize how difficult this was, because never in life are you going to be dating someone while you're dating other people, and you're seeing them date other people as well.
In your face, right?
In your, yeah. When there's in the show, and then there's once you get home, and how does that translate over? And so I think that's one of the things that all of us kind of had to think about and also deal with, and that's where these relationships broke down. They broke down once it got home with Anthony and Winter, with Joy, and with you and Khalfani. It's once it translated from there to this
real life, right?
Yeah, and at the end of it, it's I think we all found the people that we were most compatible with, and I think we probably made the right decisions. But then once life came in, then stuff like that changed up. So
right, for sure, because I definitely emotionally I kind of needed a detox once we got back home.
Somebody said, would you give Rashid a chance now?
No.
That wasn't for me. Okay, we'll just keep on right back.